Hello and welcome to You Brew Kombucha. Today is actually the 2-year anniversary of the publication of my book, The Kombucha Crafter's Logbook, and so I figured I would just shoot a quick video to talk you through some reflections that I've had since the book was published, share some of the details and my thought process in creating this logbook, and then give you a little taste of what my OG Kombucha Crafter's Logbook was before the logbook was ever even a concept in my mind. So this is just a fun quick video. If you haven't heard about this logbook yet, it is just a conglomeration of a few different passions of mine, one of which is obviously brewing homemade kombucha, but the other is just honestly experimenting with different processes and learning about fermentation and diving right into a process, experimenting, going through rapid trial and error to figure out what is it that I like about the process. Are there tweaks that I can make to improve things? And so this logbook is really the culmination of my love for fermentation, my love for kombucha, my love for the scientific method, and my love for journaling all in one. And so if you haven't yet checked it out, you can buy it from Amazon, you can buy it from Barnes & Noble, and a few other booksellers. You can find a link to it at my website at youbrewkombucha.com. I'll be sure to link it down in the description box below. But all that aside, over the last couple of years, this has sold thousands of copies, which has really just been so humbling, and I just reflecting on it because I never would have had the opportunity to snag this book deal and make this book a reality if it weren't for you who's tuning in and watching and supporting the channel. When I first partnered with my husband to come up with a concept for this YouTube channel, it was really coming from this just frustration that I was feeling about not finding helpful, easy to follow tutorials and science-based information about the kombucha brewing process online. And so I did so much research and amassed so much information, took tons of notes, did a lot of experimenting myself just to figure out what was fact, what was fiction, who could I trust, what information was actually true and what was just based on hearsay. And the result of it was just this kombucha channel that really summarized all of my learnings in a way that I hope was really helpful and easy to understand for people who had questions about the kombucha brewing process and really wanted to understand the why behind the process. To be honest, when we released all those videos, I figured maybe in a couple of years, maybe I'll have 100 followers or something. I really did not think that there would be this much of an appetite for it, but I'm so grateful and so glad that there is. And I hope that you continue to find the channel useful. I'll always be working to try to figure out how to share more information and democratize this information so that people who have an interest in home brewing kombucha can feel empowered to really take the process into their own hands. And I am just really stoked that the book has been selling and that people are finding it really helpful. I really love that the majority of it takes the brewing process into your own hands. It makes it a very hands-on process. You can find my basic brew recipes here. You'll find a really in-depth tea table in this book because, for those of you who don't know, before my love of kombucha came about, I've actually been a hardcore tea fan for really ever since I was a child. And so there's a very lengthy detailed section on tea in this book. Talks about sugar, fermentation temperatures. There are a lot of really helpful charts and diagrams here that you can use as a companion as you go through the brewing process. Also, some really helpful troubleshooting guides here as well. But probably my favorite part of the book is the brewer's log, where, again, you can really get an opportunity to take the brewing process into your own hands because you can just list the details for every single batch that you brew, from first fermentation to second fermentation, and even log all the details for your SCOBY hotels if you maintain any SCOBY hotels. There are charts there so that you can keep track of when you feed your SCOBY hotels, keep track of SCOBY growth, and all that good stuff is all jam-packed into this logbook for you. And I am such a proponent of notebooks and journals and taking really detailed notes as you're learning about a process, because it is such a fantastic way to basically go through rapid experimentation. As I was learning how to brew, I obviously had a lot of questions. There were a lot of unknowns with the process, and having detailed notes that I could refer to from batch to batch and tweak different variables and see how those different tweaks could change the outcome really helped me form a greater understanding of how fermentation works and how specifically kombucha fermentation works. And this is actually my original Kombucha Crafter's Logbook. Is just a blank notebook that I have filled to the brim with notes and charts and day-to-day logs as I was learning years ago now. I haven't really picked this up in a long time because since this book has been published, I've been using this logbook to track all of my brews. But it's just fascinating to look back and see how so many elements of the charts and the notes that I was taking here, I really tried to model that process and map the most helpful parts of this notebook into the kind of the charts and the guidebook pages that you'll be filling in this book if you decide to pick it up for yourself. It's just been fascinating to see how this concept has just taken on a life of its own. Clearly, a lot of people are interested in learning how to brew kombucha, so I'm so happy to make resources available for this community because it's such a fascinating and fun process, and the more people can get into it, I'm just such a proponent of democratizing that information and putting that knowledge into the hands of people who are interested in learning about it. All that to say, thank you so much for supporting this channel. And so if you've found these free resources useful and if you've found value in them in any way, I really hope you'll consider picking up the logbook as a supplement to your kombucha brewing process. I hope you find it helpful. So thank you so much for all of your support. If you need any more information, you can always find it at youbrewkombucha.com. Happy brewing!